All right, what's going on, everybody? Hopefully everybody is having a wonderful night. Hopefully your week has started off wonderful. I am John Wangland. Welcome to the Retro Wrestling Revival. Joining me, as always, is my partner, Mr. Richie Reardon. Richie, what's going on, my dude?
Doing good, brother, man. I've had a long day, and we all were at work today and dealt with our daily lives. It's time to unplug from reality and jump right into wrestling, man, which is our favorite thing to do here. We talk about a lot of good conversations with y'all, some retro wrestling, and just have some good conversations.
I need this tonight, man. I need a good night's event. It's been a long ass week so far.
Yep,
I think a lot of people out there can already attest to that same thing in all their lives. So
yeah,
it's always the highlight of my week to get on here and shoot the shit with you, shoot the shit with Chris, shoot the shit with all the
community.
Yeah, man. Sure. Get everybody out and just have a good time talking about some professional wrestling, cracking some jokes, having some fun. And welcome to everybody. I know this airs on the radio on Saturday, but we always do this live every Tuesday night around 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, right around that time frame. And we do it live. So if you ever want to come check out a live taping and get your thoughts and opinions put in, please feel free to come on over and join us on Facebook and YouTube, the Retro Wrestling Revival Podcast. And you can join in on our live taping for our Saturday night radio show. And we always sprinkle in some good stuff, whether it's new, whether it's old, it really doesn't matter to us. We're here to talk about wrestling. We got some great topics tonight. And one of them is going to be Tony Khan. Tony Khan, once again.
The gift that keeps on giving. He's like a bad STD for wrestling.
He's like the Jelly of the Month Club from, he really is. Like, he just gives us such great material all the time. And I'm all for it because it's just fun to talk about him. And he's just such a strange character, bro. Like, and it just gets stranger and stranger and stranger with him by the week, it seems. Would you agree with that?
People get dumber the more money they have, or...
He's obviously a billionaire and extremely rich and loaded. So I think it might very well be the case with some of them.
Vince McMahon's pooping on people and naming toys after wrestlers, and you got Tony Khan saying that WWE's Harvey Weinstein. Like, it's just, dude.
Really, it's just such a interesting thing with this guy.
I think money makes you dumb. Like, I really do.
It very well might. It's like he's trying to, what's the right word for
shock value, it seems like.
Yeah, and it's like he tries to constantly fix some bumbling stupidity that he does, and he thinks that he's going to magically fix the stupid moves that he does all the time, and then he constantly has to create fights. And you remember a few weeks ago we were talking about tribalism.
He's like a teenage girl, man.
He really is. Remember we were talking about tribalism and how Edge had that great speech, where he talked about like it's okay to like every company, and it's okay to like all forms of wrestling, and the tribalism needs to stop. And a lot of people praised him for that, and they're like, good for him for that. And then what does this guy do week after week? He continues.
He pushes it.
Yeah,
and it's like, and
then he cries and he whines when
WWE does it.
Yeah, when WWE pushes back once in a while, and they're not guilty of it. Let's be realistic.
Dude, how are you gonna call WWE the Harvey Weinstein of wrestling?
Yeah,
I mean, dude.
Let's get into that first. We got to get to that point. We got to go through what happened last week on Dynamite, because Dynamite. Let's back it up a week or two before he decided to air that stupid footage from the Jack Perry and CM Punk backstage, and he got just universally crushed for it. And
it didn't make any fucking sense. We covered that. It didn't make any fucking sense at all.
It did zero for their product to make them look good. And then, they put on, and a lot of people thought it was a great pay-per-view with Dynasty. We didn't care for the match. I think it was a blessing in disguise that the radio station had technical issues on Sunday night where the station was down for a couple hours.
Dude, that was horrible. We couldn't even make that entertaining.
We tried.
We were having to pull out the American males.
We were probably going to piss a lot of people off with that because we buried that match.
We buried it to the moon.
Just let's be realistic. We'll give you a spoiler. It's probably a good thing that didn't air that week, that they were having technical issues on the radio, because we buried that shit bad.
And we buried it with our due diligence. Like, we were giving it a fair shake.
100%.
I honestly watched it with no bias at all. I was just like, okay, I'm going to watch this with open mind. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. And I'm going to tell you, that match ain't what everybody's saying.
It was the shits, in my
Yeah, dude.
opinion. The drizzle, it was so
I'd
boring.
rather go watch an S.A. Rios versus Kurt Angle match, dude. I
And you
mean,
mentioned it. We literally had fun popping out the American males clap and everything like that during
we
it.
had to stay awake.
Yeah, but people love the
You
Dynasty
even played
pay-per-view.
the song the whole match.
Yeah. It was bad. So it was probably a good thing it didn't air, but we gave it a shot. And from what I saw, there was some really great matches on the rest of the card. And so I'm sure Dynasty put out a good card. So then last week on Dynamite, they bring Jungle Boy Jack Perry back, and Jungle Boy is now back, and he's aligning with the Elite, and you got them coming in. Literally, it looked like they were coming out of a fucking Uber to, start the show. The champion, the newly crowned champion, Swerve, gets no play at all on the show. You get some cold match with some clown that hasn't won a match in a singles match since October of 2023, but he gets a shot at Swerve. They don't do anything for Swerve, the guy that you just create the championship from, a guy that has a great backstory and a great buzz, has a great appeal to him. And then they, bring the Young Bucks and Okada and Jack Perry out of an Uber, basically, and coming into the show.
The NWO shows up in a stretch limo Hummer, and they show up in a fucking Uber.
I'll get to the comments here in just a second, folks. And then, the payoff was at the end. Jungle Boy comes out at the end of the show and talks about how AEW changed the world. If you want to see clips of it, go to our YouTube. I made a great video that says Tony Khan is at it again. You even get a JR dub over with Mike. As God is my witness, his body is broken in half.
Oh man!
So Tony and Jack are in the ring, and
you should have added a Tope Suicida in there.
Tope Suicida.
That would have been peachy.
So, to continue on with it, they're talking, and he's like, I want to be reinstated, and blah 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 blah. And then they go for the big hug, and then Jack gives the look to the camera, and he does the weakest punch to the stomach in the world. To Tony Khan with the microphone, which has the cover on it.
Nut tapped him.
He really should have nut tapped him. I think it would be a little bit better. And he ends up, the Young Bucks and Okada come out. He's a billionaire. What are you doing? And then they hit him with the Tony Khan driver and lays him out to end the show. And then you get Shad Khan, who comes out along with all the luchadors of AEW to end the show. And this shocking revelation. And then I got to applaud him, all right? So I got to applaud him on this one right here. Hold on, right here. Jeremy says, breaking news, the TNA pay-per-view from 2 weeks ago had 500 buys. They think Matt Hardy is going to save them.
Oh, boy. 500 buys.
500 buys. Wow, it's really cooking over there. But
Dolph Ziggler is the savior over there, I hear.
Yeah, he ain't saving shit.
Man.
Great to see it too, Jeremy. So, I got to applaud Tony Khan, because Tony Khan goes on. The NFL draft is on Thursday, and
it's hard to applaud Tony Khan.
It is. I applaud him for just the commitment alone at looking like a doofus. And this guy goes to the NFL draft. Mind you, this is a multi-billion-dollar business that he has with the Jaguars, amongst his other ventures. And he goes to the draft in a fucking neck brace. And selling this attack from the Young Bucks and Jack Perry, and he's in a neck brace. And then the NFL Network has him on their show and wants a little discussion about it. And Tony Khan, cuts the most absurd promo in a long time, and then decides to take a dig at the WWE. And as you said, call them the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling, and that AEW is like Pepsi and WWE is the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling. It was so bad.
Didn't even make sense.
0 sense. It literally was so bad that the NFL Network announcers that were interviewing him cut him off and wanted him off the air right off the bat and stopped him, because they're like, this is a lawsuit waiting to happen right here.
Absolutely.
Fuck this. Get this guy off the air right now.
And it's not like this is the first time Tony Khan's ever dealt with an interview with the NFL. This guy owns the Jaguars. You know the guidelines of what to say and not to say. This is a lot of times on, big network television, stuff like that. This is your shining moment for your NFL team, and you're going to go out there and say some shit like that.
You know what I can't wait to see the most is, so they announced that they were following him around for the NFL coverage for a documentary or something that they're doing, that they were following the Jaguars around and Tony Khan around all day that day. So they're going to do this like NFL type, really good. The NFL does great documentaries.
He's gonna have a damn neck brace on,
walking around like a fucking doofus, selling the formerly known Meltzer driver as the TK, as the Tony Khan driver, and selling this angle. Can you imagine what these guys must have been thinking to interview this doofus?
dude? I'm telling you, man. Since Cody Rhodes has left, it's been just a nightmare. The total waste, man.
It's terrible. It's disgraceful. Like to see.
It's embarrassing at this point. Like,
really,
I was really rooting for AEW to kind of just even be a competitor at this point.
I want to pull the onion back as you said that, just right off the bat. We've been doing this for 6 years, this show.
Right.
6 years it'll be in the summertime, okay? So one of our old partners, that we used to work with and do some stuff with, he hated him right off the bat.
You said it was going to be closed in 2 years or less.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking his opinion or anything about this guy. You and him would go back and forth on the shows about it all the time. And you were one of the biggest defenders of them over and over.
Absolutely.
And I was too, for the most part.
You could see where they were positioned. It was the right moment. All the stars aligned. We needed another voice in the room. WWE was stagnant. They weren't firing on all cylinders. They had the same regurgitated crap every week. We wanted something different. They gave us that. And we had all the...
And it was
Kenny
fun.
Omega's, it was fun. Chris Jericho was great. The little bit of the bubbly stuff took off. You had Darby Allin, all these stars. Penta L0M. All these people explode on the scene.
Brings in John Moxley.
And cool, the coolest promo in that anyone independent wrestler released. And then you have all that, and you treat Cody Rhodes. You book Cody Rhodes in the corner where he can't finish the Stoley, and you handicapped yourself. So he goes over to WWE to finish the Stoley, and then AEW just falls apart, man.
Implodes, literally.
It implodes.
It implodes.
Cody Rhodes was the vision. That's I tell people that all the time. Cody Rhodes started AEW. Rhodes had the vision. The other nerds were riding his coattails, and they were like, "Yeah, it's a great vision." And you talk Tony Khan into doing it, whatever. And they thought that they were the show. So Cody Rhodes was he left, and they thought they could carry it on, and boy, were they wrong.
We used to buy all the pay-per-views too. We would buy all the pay-per-views.
I guarantee you, if Cody Rhodes was there when AEW or when CM Punk was over there, things would have been a whole heck of a lot different in how he was treated.
Yeah, he was only over there, I think, for... Did CM Punk even sign with them when he was there? Maybe
he was there for a hot minute. A very hot minute, and then he left. Yeah,
it was real quick, if he was there. We would buy all the pay-per-views, we would cover it, we would talk about it, the
t-shirts.
Cool moments. Yeah, the cool moments.
I still have my AEW is Jericho shirt, my little bit of the bubbly one. I mean, I was all in, baby, with no pun intended. I was all in for AEW to succeed. Yeah. Believe me, I want it to really badly. It needs to be, there needs to be competition. This is what has kind of brought this out of WWE to do what they're doing again.
Yeah.
Right? They did get enough rumbling. You had Sting and that incredible. At least Sting got a good send-off.
He got a great send-off.
I can say out of all of this nightmare, at least Sting got a good send-off.
Listen, I'll give them this. They put on really good pay-per-views from what I see for the most part. For the most part, they put on really good pay-per-views. They just can't translate it into a solid show. And, the biggest problem is Tony Khan, the guy that said he was never going to be, featured on the show. Now, this guy's got to be featured on the show. Jeremy says Cody versus Dustin was the company's greatest accomplishment. That's a great match, by the way. Yeah,
absolutely.
Phenomenal match. That's a great one we should go back and watch over the next couple weeks here, actually, too.
For sure.
We always cover WWE stuff, but I would be happy to cover that in a few weeks, on the show. What a tremendous match. Had great emotion, great backstory, great everything.
They had the formula, man, to really make some rumblings, and if they would have stayed on the path they were, they would have been in great shape. They just have totally ran it in the dirt.
Well, that horse's ass, puts himself on TV and starts focusing himself like he said he was never going to. He's starting to show up on camera more and more. You see all these cringy clips of him all the time, and then he's starting fights constantly with.
And you give everybody a freaking belt. Everybody's got a belt. You give. I'm sorry, but. I don't know, you guys listening and stuff like that, if you like Hook, but how is that a believable thing? This guy Hook gets in the ring with Jericho and you're like, that guy, like that's the guy you're putting up against the centerpiece of your company. Like
You got
I
guys,
just
you got guys out there in that promotion that can work their asses off week after week. I
looks
mean,
like a goof.
we weren't a fan of the Osprey match or anything like that. Oh, Daniel says I click on here cringy, and then yep, must be Tony Khan.
Yep,
Yep. I mean,
yep,
think about the great talents that he has on that roster right now. Swerve Strickland, phenomenal talent. It's got
yeah,
a great fucking story that you could talk
yeah,
about. You got Tony Storm, who's fucking timeless and is killing it for the ladies
yeah.
over there in the women's division. You got that up and comer Mariah May with her. That's fantastic. Let me go down. You got fucking John Moxley, who's just a tremendous worker. He'll do anything. This guy lives, eats, breathes, and sleeps the business. Kenny Omega, I know he's had a lot of health issues lately. Who can put on a match? Put on a match with anybody. Will Ospreay, no matter if we liked his match or not last week, this guy's second. We didn't like that match. It's different style for us. This guy can fucking do amazing things in there too. You could build up a Will Ospreay and really focus, which I think they're going to, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You got legends over there like Adam Copeland, that's in there. I could go down the list. Christian, the best heel in wrestling with Dominic Mysterio. Daniel says Tony and Mariah for president and VP make us all timeless. Yes, they're great.
Oh man,
the Bang Bang Gang is underrated. You got Jay White and the Guns. They got good chemistry. I mean, they got great talents. Okada is one of the best workers in the world over there.
Mm-hmm.
Why fucking focus on cringy, stupid shit? Hooks of the world, or whatever it is, the dumb stuff like that. Why come out and be a character on this show when you're not good at it? Yeah. Vince McMahon is an awful human being from what we see. Okay, we don't know him from what we see.
That's the guy speculated now. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know anymore. I mean, the name in the toys is a little weird. Yeah, shitting on the back, but.
The guy's an awful human being, okay? And I think Tony Khan's a really good human being inside of him. I really do. I think he's a really nice guy.
Tony Khan is?
Inside of him, absolutely. I think he's a really nice dude, man. I don't think he's got the same qualities as Vince. I think he's definitely got issues in regards to things he's been through in his life. But I think as a human being, he's a good person. As a owner of a business, like I really
think a guy that goes on television and calls a company that
point
helps your business, the Harvey Weinstein. I mean, WWE and AEW are good for each other.
They're very good for one another.
You should never, ever, ever use the name Harvey Weinstein to describe anything in life.
One of the most egregious and awful dudes out there.
Yeah,
just terrible.
That's not a good person.
Yeah. I agree. Statements like that are shitty to do, and they're not right. I think
and all those wrestlers that have left your company and gone to WWE or whatever, you're doing them a disservice by doing that. You're not wishing them well by calling their company they went to the Harvey Weinstein.
I think it's his way to try to flex like he's got a big ding dong, and it's his way to try to look more important. Yeah, than he is. But I really do believe deep down under he's a nice dude, man. And he's got a good heart and he cares about people that work over there. And, that's just being fair, I think, to him. I think he's got a lot more endearing qualities as a human being than Vince McMahon. Daniel says Vince was an awful human being from what we saw on TV. So you mean it had to be good shit? Yeah. I mean,
I don't think any of his poop he was taking was good shit.
The guy was an awful human, and it translated on TV to one of the most iconic and memorable characters of all time with Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon could do it, and he could get away with it. And that's the problem,
I think Tony Khan is trying to channel Eric Bischoff here with what he's doing.
And he's not good enough to. That's the problem.
He's not good enough to do it.
He's not good enough to.
It's not the right time to do it either.
Just get Tony near Yamaguchi's son. That big wiener will get choppy-choppy.
Choppy. Yeah.
Dude, see, the difference between, a TK and a Vince McMahon and an Eric Bischoff is they got charisma to play these roles on TV that will matter. And
they made it believable. You don't show up to an arena in a freaking Uber.
Yeah. Like you really thought Bischoff.
If they had the lift sign in the freaking window.
Yeah.
Come on,
I agree. Jeremy says, I agree with the post I saw the other day. Okada was a megastar. Now he's mid-card. Tama Tonga was a mid-card in less than a month. WWE's made him a big-time heel. Yeah. Very, very good point. That's an excellent point.
But which is weird because AEW started off with building characters.
Yeah.
Sammy Guevara. Kenny Omega was transitioned over to the United States, made a huge star right off the bat. Hangman Adam Page. I could go down the list. MJF, the biggest heel in the industry right now.
Yeah.
You know, Ray Phoenix, Pentagon Jr., the Lucha Brothers, like one of the greatest tag teams. You know, it's just you could go down the list.
Yeah.
You know, Orange Cassidy started out as a huge deal, and then they screwed that up too.
Now he's fighting with Trent Beretta.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, he's fighting with Chucky Taylor and Trent Beretta.
Yeah. Chucky Taylor, the dad bod.
Going back to Tony. Tony is not Vince McMahon and Eric on the mic. He doesn't have their charisma, and that's fine because not everybody's like that. That can generate heat from their personalities like those two. Right. They're different levels of performers. That doesn't mean Tony Khan is a bonehead and isn't a smart guy and a great businessman like they are in different ways. All right, that doesn't mean that at all. He doesn't need to be a fucking character on the show because you need somebody that you can believe that. So that goes back to the title of the show tonight. And the title of the show is Tony Khan ripping off the NWO. So he's been in this beef with Bischoff for God knows how long now. These two go at each other, and Bischoff makes it a career out of ripping on him. And I got to say, I love Eric Bischoff, but I'm so tired of the Eric Bischoff ripping on Tony stuff by now. It's just gotten old to me. Like, I listened to me and Daniel were talking about this last week. 83 Weeks is one of my favorite shows. I want to hear Eric talk about his career and different events and things. He's a brilliant guy to listen to. He's always informative. I love him ripping on people once in a while. I don't mind hearing him rip on Tony.
Don't make it the whole show, though.
It's the whole fucking show every week. And that's how you can even turn people off like me. I don't make it a staple every week now that it's my first, or second listen of the week. I'm going to listen to a couple other things to start it because I just don't want to hear it anymore. Like, I get it, and I love him, Yeah, Daniel says it right here. Bischoff makes his money from podcasts now ripping on AEW. And like Tony turns people off of his product, by doing this stupid shit. I think he's definitely going to turn a lot of people off in the long run if he keeps up to it. The media scrums are horrible too. He feels obligated to hug all the talent. It's cringe. It's fucking terrible. So him and Tony are beefing nonstop. Eric and Tony are always beefing nonstop with one another, and they just don't have any admiration anymore for each other. I know Eric tried to squash it years ago. Tony didn't want to have anything to do with it. I don't need to revisit their history. It's none of my business or anything. But here he goes last week. And what is the move at the end of the show with the boss getting beat up and taking a drastic move? What is that reminiscent of there?
Just like when Bischoff got powerbombed.
Amen.
On Nitro.
Go back, bash it. Great American Bash, 1996.
Great American Bash. Excuse me.
Great American Bash, 1996. He gets power bombed right through the entrance stage, and big deal, all that stuff. And here he is taking the bump from the Tony Khan driver at the end of it, getting lightly punched by that schmuck Jack Perry.
I'm making a prediction that it'll follow suit almost identical to the T of the NWO storyline. He's going to end up being with these goofs and being part of this faction. Tony Khan will.
Hey Jude, but Jude is saying, but is Bischoff saying anything wrong in regards to AEW? No, Jude, I don't think he is. And with the way that he says it, it's the amount and the volume that he says it, Jude. I'm a huge fan of Eric Bischoff. Huge fan of him. Richie could tell you this. Daniel, any of the guys that know me really well that have been on the stream here, Jude. And welcome to the stream, Jude. It's nice to see you out. But one of my favorite pieces of memorabilia is right behind me. It's what Daniel got for me. It's from Eric Bischoff, a signed autograph from Eric Bischoff. It says, "To John, I beat everybody's ass for 83 weeks. The rest couldn't last 3 minutes." And it's probably one of, if not my favorite piece of memorabilia. I love the dude. Like, nice. He says what he says is right, but it's the volume on what he does it and the incessant nature of it to me. Yeah. That turns me off, Jude, a little bit.
Right.
I agree with what he says, though. The guy is fucking 99% of the time right with what he says about him. Yeah. So, hey, Lawrence, great to see you out, my friend.
Hey, buddy.
Going amazing there. Mate. In Australia, Aussie.
The land down under.
Yes. Great to see you out, Lawrence. Jeremy says, Richie, I told John the same thing when Dynamite went off the air. I give him credit for one thing on this, is that he's trying to take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad from what he messed up with. So I can't fault him for trying to make something out of that awful move, Richie. Sure. But you don't need to copy what a guy you criticize all the time does.
Well, the critics are going to say that, and then, what his response is going to be, well, Bischoff copied it too,
No, who remembers anything that was done unless it was Bischoff doing that? Bischoff's the most memorable turn ever.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying what his response will be.
And it would be stupid because I can't
be.
remember anything. I'm sure there was in wrestling history. I can't remember anything that was as big as that moment when Bischoff took that power bomb. And
absolutely.
I didn't, as a kid watching as a teenager, I didn't see that coming. You know, I didn't see it coming at all. It just, this is where it goes for me. So Jeremy said the only good idea was the Owen Hart tournament.
That's true. I mean, I'm also grateful for that too. You know, we got the Sting send off, we got Owen Hart and stuff like that.
Let me get to all the comments here. Tony Khan tries to turn heel. He could be a huge-nator, a hugginator. Hugginator, yeah. He'll be hugging everybody.
He'll be in Bailey's crew.
So is All Elite Wrestling going to officially become All Elite with Tony joining the Elite? Yeah.
It's just going to be called Tony and Friends.
Jude says, I think the frustrating thing is that AEW has a fantastic roster and a competitive roster, but it's like a toy box full of action figures that Tony has no idea
that's exactly
how to play with. Yeah, Jude, if you didn't catch the beginning of our conversation here when we first started the stream about 20 minutes ago or so ago, we were just talking about that too. Their roster is phenomenal, phenomenal. And they are his human action figures, and he just doesn't know what to do with them all. So when is AEW going to bring in the NWO to feud with the Elite?
Oh Lord!
There's no way you're getting Nash.
I hope they don't. I hope they don't.
They won't.
Yeah, no. Nash buries it to the moon.
He buries it all the time. Daniel says, "I love AEW and enjoy it more than WWE most of the time, but just give it a rest, Tony, and just enjoy your product." Yeah. See, seriously. There's fans right there.
You got to let it ride. You know, there's got to be a direction. There's got to be a path. It's like Bret Hart when he went to WCW, man. I mean, they had no idea what they were doing at that time frame. And then, you fast forward to WCW 2000 and they screwed everything up, man. I mean, they took it completely in the green and then all of a sudden went into the red in no time. Yeah. And they were out of business before you knew it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, this guy's got money to fund it for the foreseeable future and then some. The money's not the factor to him. It's that he's running it into the ground. And I'm telling you right now, if he goes off and does what Bischoff going back to what I was saying just before I was reading comments was, as a kid watching it when Bischoff got powerbombed, there's no way I saw as a 14, 15-year-old kid that I was at the time that Bischoff was eventually going to be the leader of the NWO. It was a tremendous swerve that they did. If Tony Khan goes and does the exact same thing,
which so predictable.
It's so predictable, like to see. I hope he's not this stupid, like that he's going to try to eventually become like the heel like Eric Bischoff did. If he wants to get clowned on, do it that way, 100%.
If he wants to make ratings, baby, then throw some money at old Vinnie Mac and have him be the leader of this new NWO.
Bro, we talked about it as a joke last week, and let's be realistic. I went back and listened to that, and I had a lot of other people listen to it too that reached out to me.
I'm telling you.
They said as crazy and as outlandish was that conversation because it just came about as a joke from one of the people on the stream. They said as crazy and as outlandish as that it was, I could get behind that, and it would actually be fucking great TV. Probably
it would.
For
people would
bit.
Watch the shit out of that.
Yeah, they said you guys were right, man. As a joke, you were talking about it, but you guys were right. That would be money.
It would shake the wrestling industry to the core,
bro. It would be. I'm telling you right now, it would probably be the biggest moment in wrestling history if you could get Vince McMahon over there and to have
even just to appear on television,
dude. He doesn't need the money. The guy wants to stick it to these fucks.
I know, and he should.
And
he should.
They forced him out of his own creation.
If he's proven right that this wasn't as bad and this was just a cash grab by this lady and stuff, man, I'm telling you, they gotta do it.
It would be epic. Now, with the Weinstein comments, I don't think that's going to happen. But of course, this is just fantasy booking. But if Tony Khan's going to play the role of the Bischoff, no fucking thank you. If he wants ratings, bring in the Real Power in Greenwich, the Mean Street Posse.
Oh, dude.
I love the Mean Street Posse. That Joey Abs, Rodney, and Pete Gas, man. Those guys.
Man.
It'll come full circle when their version of WCW and versus NWO comes to light. Elite versus the Bullet Club is going to happen. Hangman and Omega will be the leaders of the Bullet Club, and the feud ends in blood and guts, aka War Games. That's not a prediction; it's a spoiler. All right,
I like that. I like that.
I'm going to get back to that, Jeremy, because that's actually an idea that I was thinking of too.
Vince, Shane, and McMahon loyalists. Yeah.
Yep, the McMahon World Order debuts in AEW. Vince and Shane loyals. Yes.
MWO.
Vince is somewhere yelling at his Sean toy for turning on him instead of turning him on.
Oh, hey, That went to the
Jeremy,
internet today.
yes, Jeremy is bringing up a great point here about what they could do with this, because they're going to book the Elite as their version, of course. Now it's like kind of like the Rebel faction, the NWO. I don't see it with the personalities of those four in it. They're no Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Six, and Hulk Hogan. So
no,
you want to really make them a big faction, though. To me, this is what I would do. All right. They're pushing Will Ospreay to the moon as the babyface over there, and he's probably the most over talent that's on that roster. And they're bringing, Tony's having another big announcement tomorrow that he announced tonight, that he's going to have another big announcement to announce a new, authority figure while he's out and mending, which it's going to be probably Kenny Omega, I would assume. Right. That's my opinion. It'll be Kenny Omega. To me, you have Kenny Omega turn on to, this is how you save Tony from embarrassment, by going heel. You have Kenny Omega go heel on him too and turn on him once he gets put in this power position, and have Kenny Omega with the Bucks and Okada and Jack Perry, and then you assemble a WCW like faction like they did. A group of guys that will fight against the Elite. This is your way to get Will Ospreay over. This is your way to eventually get the belt on him in some way, I think, down the road this year. All In's the perfect time for him. I think Swerve is going to be a transitional champ for a short period of time, but you can put the belt on somebody that they can have over and leading that faction, whether it's Kenny Omega or somebody else, and then Will Ospreay can be their guy that's going to be kind of the savior of AEW as they're going to push as the babyface. If Bryan Danielson is healthy at this point, bring him back to come help fight. Bring Swerve maybe in there to help fight. John Moxley, any of these guys. You can bring out whoever you want for stars that will fit into this, and then do a blood and guts segment, or blood and guts match.
You got to have them beat them all down individually, though.
Yeah, and they have to run just completely over everybody like the NWO did for so long.
Yeah,
and I think you need a couple more people over there to make it really believable to do that. Mm-hmm. And they have talent over there. There's a guy too that I think could fit well in this faction, and he's a big believable monster. And it's Powerhouse Hobbs. Bring this guy in; he could be their monster over there. Have the main eventer be a Kenny Omega or somebody similar to that, and you really build this up into a good 6 guys.
It really sucks that Sting just left off into the sunset.
He also could be an authority figure that might come back too tomorrow night and help him out, or down the road you bring Sting in to
I think we're pretty much money in the bank. It's going to be Kenny Omega.
I think it's going to be Kenny Omega. That's for sure.
There's no doubt about it.
Oh my God! Please do not have another exploding ring of sparklers match. Yeah. Yes. What a fucking...
That needs to go in a box and sent off to the ocean, never return.
Yeah, Jeremy mentions a good point too, about Kenny returning tomorrow. Him and Hangman were kicked out of the Elite too. So Hangman could be coming back and doing some stuff with them. Vince McMahon is probably getting stoned somewhere going, that's good shit.
Yeah.
Mercedes Moné.
Or taking one.
Mercedes Moné brings in Snoop as their manager.
Oh, Lord.
It was bad enough with him on commentary.
I can't believe they gave him an offer to be a commentator. Like,
neither. I love Snoop, but not for that.
No.
There's so many ways you could book this, Richie. What do you think about the booking of this after we just dissected this for the last little bit?
I'm thinking that they've got multiple ways they can go, but I like the way that we just set up. Like, you have to make it make sense. You can't do this all jumbled and stuff like AEW is used to doing, man. So like we said, man, put this group together, maybe add a couple guys in there that need a push, and main event exposure, and get them over, man. Get them over and do it that way, and have them run roughshod over everybody, and just have people get beat up individually, and beat up, and just make it like a gang fight like they used to do. If they're gonna go, they got to go all the way with this. They can't half-ass it, and they got to quit showing these jokers up in an Uber. Tony Khan's got the money. Make these guys show up in limousines.
Make them look like stars.
Make them look like stars. Yeah. You're making them look like trash by having them show up in a car.
Okada, when you see this guy in the ring, and I'm not a New Japan guy, so I haven't watched a ton of his stuff, but everything I've seen him on, you introduced him to me years ago when we watched him versus Kenny Omega. And what was that, from Wrestle Kingdom or something?
Yep.
And we and you watched that match. It's somewhere in the history,
in the archives.
Yeah, in the archives of the show. God knows where it is right now. But we watched that shit, and we were both in awe of that match watching those two. Okada's one of the best damn in-ring workers of all time. No doubt about it. The guys,
Kenny Omega.
Yeah, seriously. I was just gonna say the same thing. People might not like Kenny sometimes. Kenny's a good dude. deep down.
He's an awkward dude, but he's a good dude.
He's strange as fuck, but he's a good dude. The man
He
loves
refused
wrestling.
to bash Roman Reigns on his
Put him over
show.
to the
Put
moon.
him over to the moon.
Said, I wish I could be a star like that and have the presentation that he gets. Like, I got all the respect in the world for Kenny Omega, and the guy's a hell of a fucking performer.
He's grown on you because there was one time
you
absolutely buried him to the moon too.
Yep, I did 100%, and I agree. That's how somebody can win you over if you got an unbiased thinking, thinking pattern in your mind, and you're like, well, maybe this guy isn't that bad, or he's really good when you see some of the stuff. But you got to build these guys like stars. You got to do it, and they got the star power there.
They do.
They just
have got all the chemicals, man. They just got to put it all together.
I like the team of Ospreay and Hangman and FTR. It could be a fun match. I can't stand the FTR as people. I hate Dax Harwood. He's obnoxious.
They're weird.
Yeah, like great workers. I'm not
just
denying
they're bitter.
And then you got Quick Draw McGraw as partner there. Whatever his name is, Cash Wheeler. Like it's hard for me. It's hard for me to like FTR because I just think Dax is the most cringy dude in AEW. Probably, in my opinion.
It'd be amazing if they got Ricochet over from WWE and added him to the mix of this.
It could be, but he just signed a new contract too, I heard.
I know, it's so weird. Yeah. Why would you do that? They're making you look like a jabroni.
Loran says Stone Cold Steve Austin shows up in AEW, teases a signing contract, and stuns Tony. It was great of a moment that'd be. He ain't ever going over there. That would be awesome.
No way.
Okada and Omega standoff will be nice to see tomorrow. I think we're gonna get that for sure. Yeah. And please, when Kenny's healthy, I'd love to see those two in another match. I'll gladly watch that match any day of the week because they're gonna do it. Yeah, Omega knew better to not acknowledge his tribal chief. On a serious note, why not build up Okada to win the AEW title? I agree.
He could carry it.
Yeah, 100%. Get a mouthpiece for them and have somebody be their mouthpiece. I know he doesn't speak very proficient English, I don't think. I could be wrong, but get him a mouthpiece. Jude makes a good point here, too. What if the authority figure is MJF? That would get the shock factor. He's out for an extended period of time with an injury.
What if he's the guy? Yeah, the authority figure. That's a good point.
What if he's the brains behind it, and when he gets healthy, he's the one that takes the title off of one of these guys too?
I like that.
He's going to be out for an extended period of time.
Dude, you're on something there, man. Yeah. I would watch that.
I would too. Sign me up. I like that because he's got a extended period of time. I think he just had shoulder surgery. He's probably going to need most of the year to rehab it. If they're going to do that, it's a great way to maximize using him and build him up later on to get his belt back.
Yep, absolutely.
So I like that idea a lot. MJF and Cole being hurt in the middle of their story hurt them too. Absolutely. That could have been a great story if they both didn't get hurt. 100%. Let's talk about the first time ever this Saturday, AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes. Yeah, let's move on from that because we were going to do this. I'm glad you mentioned the let's talk about it because we're going to debut it each week, and it's going to be the end of the show that we're going to do on our Tuesday night streams, and it's going to be, what do you want to talk about? We're going to rip off a little Cody Rhodes sign. So what do you guys want to talk about? Throw your whatever ideas you have out there, or questions you have, or things you want us to discuss for the last 22 minutes of the show, and we'll hit up on it. So let's talk about that first.
AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes was not on my bingo card for this year, man. I didn't think that was going to be his first title defense, So
I did actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I did because he did the job for LA Knight at Mania and got it back to go get in this match when they were doing it. I figured he was going to be his first thing. I didn't know how they would do it when they booked him in that. I'm like, as soon as they saw AJ Styles' name in LA Knight, I knew they were going to face off each other at the end of that, and then I knew AJ would win. And AJ and Cody, I think that's going to be a kick-ass match, man.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Two great workers. Match. What do you think about that? Tell me what your thoughts on AJ and Cody are.
I think it's going to be a good match. I think AJ Styles is going to unfortunately, lose. I like Cody Rhodes, and I'm happy he finished the Stoli and everything like that. But, I truly, truly miss AJ Styles being in the main event picture. I think the guy's, no pun intended, I think he's a phenomenal talent. And I think he's been underused for a good portion of this. And, he's got more matches behind him than he does ahead of him. So I would like to see them utilize AJ Styles more in this main event picture. Unfortunately, he's going to lose here, and I just hope they tell a really good program and have a good match. And I hope AJ Styles is, this isn't the last time we see him in the title contention.
Yeah, he's mentioned it himself too over the coming weeks. I think he's got a few years left on his contract, and I believe he said that this is the end of it for him. And
Yeah.
he's
He's
gone
made a
on.
boatload of cash.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. And his, going over to WWE, and I think it was like what 2017, 2018-ish or
something
something like
like
that.
that.
He's made a ton of cash from them. And he's openly said that his mind is starting to get to the point where it tells him he can't do certain things anymore, and he's having trouble doing some of the things that he once did so easily as he's gotten up there in age. And that's an inevitable thing in life that
Look at
happens.
Jeff Hardy.
Yeah. It happens to everybody. The best athletes in the world. Look at the greatest fighters. Look at like Chuck Liddell and Anderson
Yeah.
Silva when they
Yeah.
stayed in too long. And these
Tito
guys were,
Ortiz.
yeah,
All of them.
knocking everybody out, beating everybody's ass, unstoppable. Age is a bitch, man, and it gets us
Yeah,
all.
it is.
So
It gets us all.
I am all for this. Soak in AJ while you can, because it's been an amazing career, and I really love it. And I hope they have a great match, and I think they're going to tear the house down.
People don't realize AJ Styles was wrestling in WCW, so.
Yeah. Right at the end, it's Air Paris or something like that, right?
Yeah. So that's how long he's been around.
I nicknamed Cody Rhodes Emo Flair, as he's like the emo version of Ric Flair.
Dude, no doubt.
For a first time AJ against Cody and Cody's first defense, it just feels thrown together. Agreed.
Yeah, this could have been a lot bigger program. That's kind of how I feel about it.
AJ versus Cody will be a great match, but Cody will be going into a program with Solo
I
after
just
this.
don't see, can somebody explain to me Solo, man? I don't see this big star appeal. Everybody's like, oh, the bloodline is going to be put on Solo's back. Why? I don't see it. I don't see it.
I think that's the way they're definitely going, but I don't think Solo's ready for it yet, and I don't think he's a star to the level of anybody else. That
You're going to tell me that Roman Reigns,
anointed this guy,
dude.
Yeah,
not even in the same level on the same planet.
Yeah,
as far as talent is concerned and how you can carry the bloodline, it's just no.
AJ should say, "I fought your dad in TNA," and Cody starts crying.
Oh.
I quite like Cody Rhodes. He gets overbearing for me. However, really enjoyed his match with Dustin in AEW.
Yeah.
Yep, we were talking about that a little bit before you probably popped on, Lawrence. Also enjoyed Arn Anderson being in his corner. I did too. Was expecting a big turn.
His corner.
Yeah. Was expecting a big turn for Arn to turn on Cody like he did Dustin. Yeah, I loved Arn with him as that pairing.
They didn't give it enough time, man. That would have been a huge thing.
All right, next thing people want to talk about. How do you feel about, once again, anybody out there, if you have anything specific you want to talk about, lay it out there, and we'll get to it in just a few minutes here. This is how we're going to wrap the show up every Tuesday. So Jeremy says, how do you feel about the return of Braun? I like Braun Strowman, okay? I'm not saying he's the most marketable guy and should be holding the world title or anything like that. I think they fumbled with him at certain points in the dark period of WWE. I'll even go as far as to say this. At one point, I think Braun was probably one of the most over, if not the most over person on that roster. When Braun's music hit and he destroyed everybody, man.
Everybody loved it. When he ran around the ring and shoulder checked everybody loved it.
Remember when they were doing the SmackDown versus Raw at Survivor Series, and they had Team Shane versus Kurt Angle, and they would every week somebody was attacking somebody, and SmackDown had attacked Raw. And then they were waiting on Kurt's team to, Raw to finally attack them. They get in this big melee finally right before Survivor Series. And the biggest moment of the whole thing and the biggest reaction out of it was when Kurt Angle bringing out Braun. And you see him motioning for him to come back, and he just destroys everybody.
Yeah.
Braun is over with me even more after last night, because he got up right in front of that goofy fuck Pat Mahomes' face and got right in his face. So he is always over with me for a lifetime for clowning that doofus.
No shit.
And he got a great reaction. He
did.
Jude, he is huge.
He's
even
huge.
More now.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see him back. I hope they do some great stuff with him. I think he could be a fun part to add in to the, this.
Uncle
I like
Howdy.
Braun as a babyface. I don't like him as a heel though.
I would love Braun to stay away from the Uncle Howdy stuff. I think he needs to come back by himself. We saw
he doesn't need it.
And, as memorable of a moment as he was in Bray Wyatt's circle, I honestly enjoyed his stuff more after the fact.
Yep. Daniel says Braun's a good big man who will definitely.
He kind of fills the void of the Big Show being gone in a lot of ways.
And the Big Show kind of passed it on to him over there multiple times, and
that's the guy. That's the big man now. Braun Strowman is the big man now.
Yep. Let's see. Prediction. AJ shocks everyone and beats Cody for the title. They feud for a few months with Cody chasing. I can't see that. No,
That
not
would
after
be. I don't want to see him start the Stoley again.
No. It took 2 years or 3 years or whatever it was to get to this
Yeah,
point. I
good
don't think we
lord.
can go already.
We finished the Stoley. We get it.
We don't want any more, Lance. We don't want him to have to chase
Dude.
it again.
And then they'll start writing another rock song, and yeah, we're
No,
good.
please.
We're good.
All right, Jude says, let's talk about the direction WWE will take with the Uncle Howdy return. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show, but I think this is another good thing as they've been kind of bringing this out. Have you seen the vignettes that they've been doing with Uncle Howdy?
Yeah, they're great. They're great. I
Yeah.
love what they're doing with Uncle Howdy. I think they're setting it up right. They just got to execute it correctly.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do the Wyatt Six. I don't know. You know, me personally, I think they need to bring Uncle Howdy in by himself for a little while, make him a little bit of a monster, and make people really fear this guy, and you know, do it the way that Bray Wyatt should have been done. Me personally, I don't believe that they should have a faction right off the bat.
Build it up over time.
Build it up over time.
And don't just randomly slap people in here that won't fit.
We've
all for
all the time in the world. We don't have to rush this.
And he doesn't have to get in the ring all the time. You can continue to build this and build the appeal of it. And let's be realistic, Bo's a talented guy too.
Yeah, he is.
Super talented guy. Really, undervalued in a lot of ways and got put in gimmicks that were kind of cheesy to some people, and he still found a way to get him over. Bo's a talented guy. He's creative. He's got a great presence to him. Now he's not Bray, of course. He's a different, person. And Bray was, such a super talented guy as well. And, Bo's got a lot to prove if he can do it. I think he can though, man. And I think I like what you have to say in regards to give him some time to build it up.
Yeah.
And
they're
then
always in a hurry to and don't make it a total copy of Bray Wyatt either.
Yeah. You don't need everybody from him before.
You don't.
I like Rowan coming back because I think he'd add a good piece to it. And I'd leave it at that. Bring in new characters. I'd like to see them bring in a dominant type female that can be part of that faction too. Sure. And I don't mean being Alexa Bliss or Liv Morgan. Yeah. Find a woman on that roster that you can think about that can be that dominant Sister Abigail type character. That to me, I'd like to see. I don't necessarily know offhand who it would be over there.
I think you bring in Bray Wyatt's wife,
JoJo. What does she bring to it though?
She brings a sword, dude. When you're doing something to honor your husband that passed away, I'm sure she can tap into something.
But she's never wrestled. I think you got to have a wrestler in there for women.
Make her a manager.
Okay. I don't know.
We've got enough women's wrestlers. Make her a manager. We don't have enough women's managers anymore.
There's no managers at all anymore, basically.
There's no managers at all. That's a lost art. Bring it back. Let's start bringing that back. That's a fun part of wrestling. Managers bring a lot. Look at Paul Heyman.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what she could do in it, I guess. I don't know if I'm for it, but it would be interesting to see. I definitely want to see a strong female presence in there. That's for sure. I want to see a strong female presence in there. And I want to see a strong tag team that they could bring in as well. I'm
just saying that based on how they did with Vicky Guerrero. They gave her a job. She made quite a bit of money for her family out of the honor and respect for Eddie Guerrero. I say you do the same thing with her.
Maybe she does. I don't think it would be a really hard role for her to fulfill. I know she has kids and stuff and is a single mom now, of course, but I don't think it'd be a hard thing to bring her in once a week or maybe twice a week at certain points. She wouldn't be one that would be traveling on the house show loops or anything like that. You wouldn't need them to do that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see where they can go with that, Jude. Good question on the Uncle Howdy stuff, but I think they're going to do some good stuff with this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Jude says, I think they're going to aim Howdy at Karrion Kross, in my opinion. That could be fun. Yeah. It's a good first feud.
Karrion Kross definitely needs a facelift, man. I'm telling you.
He always needs a facelift over there, and it's such a shame because the guy's so damn talented.
Shave that dude's head, get him in the gym again where he's
Killer
jacked
Kross,
like he was
man.
in his TNA days. Make him Killer freaking Kross again.
Dye Scarlett's hair back blonde again and let her be the smoke show type character.
They totally cut the balls off of all that.
Do it like you had when you brought him in at NXT, and the guy was just a fucking killer over there, I think they will aim Hardy across. Uncle Howdy starts a new cult in WWE. That's definitely going to happen for sure. Would be interesting.
I just hope they don't rush it.
I want to see a slow play in it too. Don't think you got to throw it together now.
I want to see Mick Foley. I want to see Mick Foley involved in this somehow. I do.
That was what we had mentioned originally as him being a person that could be aligned with Brother Mick, when we talked about that a few weeks ago. Mick would be a great addition too as a managerial type person or a mouthpiece for them in a way as well. So Will be interesting if the Undertaker Kane debuted as a mentor or manager for him. Could be, maybe something there. I don't know. I think Charlotte Flair can pull off a dark character. I would be interested to see that, but she's got a ways to go.
She's got
in
to
her
tap
recovery.
into a whole different side of a character for that.
I think she's talented enough to do it, though.
Yeah, but they've invested so much in making her how she is, though. I don't know if they would pull the trigger on that ever,
Yeah, we'll see. She's got a long time to go, too, because she tore ACL and was just a couple months out of it. Jeremy A. says, Dragon from NXT going to Raw, new face or joining Imperium. This is Ilya Dragunov, who was the champ, who just lost the title to Trick Williams last week. Boy, that Trick Williams kid he's a hell of a performer too, Richie.
He's a star, yeah.
He's got a big he's got a big upside to him. I don't think joining Imperium's the way for him to go, Jeremy. I don't know if you know much about him, Jeremy or Richie, but he's the one that beat Gunther for the title.
Yeah.
It
wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to split them up,
Yeah, the guy's a great worker though. From what I've seen, he's a hell of a worker. He's got an interesting appeal to him too. So I just think you got to build him on his own.
He reminds me of Cesaro on steroids,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he does join Imperium though. Who knows? What about Nikki Cross, his sister Abigail? She was great in Sanity.
I was thinking that. I didn't really want to go there because she totally killed, anything for me with her superhero. So
she plays a great dark character though when she was with Sanity.
That's a good point, man. Nikki Cross, and she's not that bad of a worker in the ring and stuff, so she could pull off the women's division and wrestling and stuff like that. But let's be real, Nikki Cross isn't getting in there with the likes of Rhea Ripley or Charlotte Flair when she comes back or any of those people anymore. They're not going to put her on that level. So,
yeah, but she can still play a great character over there for the women, and do that. She's not a bad worker, like you mentioned in any way. She's great as a dark character before. Yep. She's got the talent that she can do it. And she could be a great one over there. Laurent says Cross should have finally had his dream match with Batista. Book it for WrestleMania. Cross goes over.
Yeah, I don't ever want to see Batista back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think
he's coming back. I'm so over that shit, dude.
He said it though openly, and he's in Hollywood. He's in his he's like 60 now, right, or something.
I don't know how.
He's an old dude, man. He's in his mid to late 50s, maybe even 60.
He started wrestling pretty late.
Yeah, Dirty Dom siding with Liv possibly and Mommy out. I'd like to see Rhea manipulating it while she's out.
What's that stuff going on where Dominic and her were in the locker room or something? They came out together or something.
Yeah, they're playing. They're playing like this thing with the new cameras where they're starting to show things and people got to pick up in the back. It's actually really very innovative and good what they're doing. So they had her coming out of a locker room and then Dom came out right afterwards. Now he's out for a good period of time. He just had Tommy John surgery. So they're kind of trying to play something up here where Liv's kind of going after him, or maybe that they have some type of romance together. Rhea could fit.
Married too.
Yeah, Rhea could also fit too phenomenally in this faction as the dominant women's champion over in Uncle Howdy's faction too, and she's got that dark side character. Yeah, she could be a great one down the road too. But I don't remember what she injured. Does anybody out there remember what she injured?
I heard she was pregnant.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it was
really.
I think it was a shoulder injury or an elbow or something. Injury? I could be wrong. If you guys know, I
thought it was a fake. I thought it was a kayfabe injury, and
they showed it on camera. She got one of the people hit her wrong in some way, and it unfortunately happened. Yeah, so
it was Liv Morgan that did it. Supposedly.
Yeah, she put her out. So I don't know what the injury was.
No Blutista.
Yeah, Blutista.
No Blutista.
Bring in Mrs. Jackie and let her be the voodoo queen.
Oh boy.
Liv is doing great with this Harley Quinn-like character. She's adding a lot of elements to it. I've never been a fan of hers, but she's starting to add a little bit of intrigue to her character. Yeah. So it's good to see.
Bo Dallas is going to be around for a while, so she might as well too.
Yeah, they're together. Maybe they're trying.
That would be a good one to put in there. I mean, if they're together and stuff, they could probably draw some good chemistry with that.
Yeah, we talked about that, I think, a few weeks ago when we discussed it a little bit, and we weren't sold on it at the time, but with the way she's evolving this character now, like Laurent said, with this Harley Quinn-like character, I like it a lot better, man, and I can get into it more for this potentially too. So there's some great suggestions from everybody here. Liv saw the stash and wanted to see what's good. Yeah, Dom's rocking that mustache, bro. He's rocking that mustache, and he's giving mustache rides.
He's got the cop stash.
Dude, he's rocking it. What a god Dom is, I'm telling you. Dirty Dom.
Dom is the real Spanish god.
Bro, that guy's a hero of mine. Don't
Sammy
fucking-
Guevara, eat your heart out, baby.
Don't steal his pudding cup, though.
Yeah, don't do
That
that.
away.
Nope.
Jails quake. Just thinking about
Dude,
that's
He's
why
the
Dom
shot
hasn't gone
caller
back,
on any yard. You better watch out,
bro.
The Undertaker ain't got shit on his yard.
No,
Dude.
that's what do you think? Dom's a rough dude, man. This guy's been committing crimes.
I
in
don't
all the
say
50
this
states.
much, but hardworking Bobby Walker, man.
He put him into exile.
I don't know.
Heard fucking Dom was coming. Dom's been scaring people everywhere. They don't want to put him back in jail because they know the shit that's going to happen out there.
El Dandy's even scared of that boy.
Whew. That says a lot because he's a jam up guy.
El Dandy is a jam up guy.
I'd leave Rhea out of the Uncle Howdy angle. She's going to be a monster baby face when she comes back. Good point too, Daniel. Very good point. Uncle Howdy with Liv Morgan become WWE's the Joker and Harley Quinn.
Man, that's a good point.
Could be interesting, really. I like that thought
You guys
process.
got some good points out there, man.
That's why I said I think this is a great way to end the show when we do the live streams on Tuesday. What do you want to talk about? Because we don't have all the ideas all the time.
Yeah. You guys are you're creative.
And it brings up good content and discussion for everybody out there. So that's why I like doing these live streams for the radio. So for anybody listening on the radio on Saturday when this comes out, once again, you got to check out the stream and come out and join us because we're here every Tuesday night, between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern time. We're here every week doing it. So let me get to the last couple comments here and we got to sign off for the night. His dad called his mustache a dirty Sanchez last night. Oh shit!
That's a good one there.
Undertaker retired when he heard Dirty Dom was coming to WWE. Yes,
Dirty Dom, baby.
Well, excellent.
Insta Hall of Famer.
Oh, all day. Amazing conversation, everybody. We appreciate all your great ideas and your feedback for everybody that's joined us tonight on the live. We really had a good time as always. Facebook and on YouTube, whatever you like to watch on. Make sure you like this video as well, please. Give a thumbs up to it on YouTube or Facebook. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube to the Retro Wrestling Revival and on Facebook, Retro Wrestling Revival as well on Facebook. So we would really appreciate that. Chris and I will be back tomorrow to conclude Road Wild, and Richie and I will be back on Sunday with another great episode on the radio. We're going to be doing a fun watch-along. We're going to be talking about some gimmicks that never got over that probably should have, and a lot of other great conversations. So make sure you follow the page and come back and check out everything. Richie, anything you got for us real quick before we sign off?
I appreciate all you guys coming out and listening, man, carrying on the conversation and the shenanigans that me and John have. We're trying to build this community here for you guys to come and have fun each and every time with us. So I enjoy you guys, man, and I just appreciate y'all, and we'll see you down the road.
Absolutely. I really do appreciate everybody.
Thanks, Jude, for coming, man. We appreciate you showing up.
Really, that's why we love Facebook and being able to put this out there, is that we can draw new people out to come out the show. So we really appreciate it, Jude, and hope to see you back again soon. Lawrence,
you guys make us show back up, man. So it's you guys bringing us back to the table every time. So
1,000%. Thanks, Lawrence and Jeremy. It's a great show tonight, guys. Richie, you don't know yet, but we're becoming good friends. I love it. That's what the purpose of this community here is. All right, everybody. Richie and I got to sign off. We will see you all again on Sunday on the radio, and I'll see you tomorrow night with Chris checking out some Road Wild 97. So for Richie, I'm John. We are out of here. Have a great night. We'll see you all again soon on the Retro Wrestling Revival.